Hey friends, welcome to the vid, and in this vid I'm going to talk about 4 things I wish I'd been told when I was going through my DPDR recovery, which would have dramatically sped my recovery along and got me to reach recovery a lot quicker, exactly what they are, why they're so important, and also why they're so obvious, but maybe you haven't actually thought of them right now. I'm here to tell you this. And if you are new to the channel, then welcome. My name is Dan, and I help people with anxiety and DPDR recovery using either one-on-one coaching or the Freedom course. And if you are a subscriber, then welcome back. The first thing that you don't realize and that you are going to think is just normal because you're right in the midst of anxiety right now is that anxiety amplifies everything. It takes all your positive thoughts, it takes all your wishes and hopes and dreams for the future, it just trashes those and chucks those out, and what it replaces it with is with constant things of stress and fear and worry about right now, worry about the future, and also confusion about the past. To give you an example of this bias in action, I'm going to show you a photo which is just a few people sitting around chatting and listening and, just hanging out. Now, I want you to imagine that you are one of the people listening. There's a billion different ways that you can think of what's happening with this scenario. And somebody without anxiety and who isn't in DPDR is probably not even really thinking about the situation as a whole. They're probably just sitting there going, yeah, this is fun, I'm hanging out. Later on, we're going to do whatever. They're just sort of doing it in a normal way. But if you're somebody who's going through DPDR and anxiety and it's biased that way, if you're somebody who's listening, you could be sitting there thinking, oh my God, my symptoms are overwhelming. I've been too quiet for too long. They must think that I'm weird, but I'm just going to sit here and smile and try and pretend that I'm okay. And they must hate me. They must think that I'm awkward. And oh my God, I'm never going to be able to recover from this. And so on. You get the point. I talk about this in a lot more detail in the Freedom course about reframing a situation and, sort of changing your mindset and seeing the language that you are using yourself, because it's such a powerful thing. And so one of the things you have to realize is that anxiety is heavily biased towards the negative for you right now. And that's why you're seeing the world in this way. And the next thing I wish I'd been told when I was going through my recovery is that research gets to a certain point and then you need to stop. And I know that I have said this in a number of my videos, but it's important, and I'm going to keep saying it until the message gets through, that you need to stop researching. Do a little bit of research to know what it is. Do a little bit of research to know how to recover. Do a little bit of research to know that it is actually possible to recover, and then just cut it off, get rid of that, put that to bed, put it aside, get out of the forums, get out of the videos, get out of everything that's to do with research, and then just start getting on with your recovery. Because the chances are you already know the answers of what you've got to do to be able to recover, but maybe there's something in you which is preventing you from taking that first step. Maybe it's a fear of failure. Maybe it's a fear of not knowing if what you're doing is wrong. Maybe it's a fear of, well, what if you start and things don't actually start to improve? And so you don't actually start at all. You just keep researching and researching and researching, and that's not going to get you anywhere. You need to stop researching right now, and you need to start getting on with your recovery. Another thing I wish I'd been told is that things will get easier, things will get better. And I know right now it might be completely difficult to comprehend that, but they will. Think of anything else in your life which has felt a little bit bad or a little bit painful or angry or whatever it is. It always gets better, doesn't it? It always brings you back to that point of normality. And to help sort of reinforce this for you, I want you to think back to a time where before you had this, where perhaps you were going through a bit of pain or a bit of anger, frustration or sorrow, whatever it was. Think back to that time where you were sort of feeling how you feel right now, but perhaps in a different way in regards to, I'm never going to love again, I'm never going to do this again, I'm never going to be able to feel that again, all this, I'm never going to la again, that catastrophizing thinking. Think back to that point. Did it come true? No, of course it didn't. Of course it didn't come true. Of course you're able to love again, you're able to feel again, you're able to get motivated again, you're able to do all this stuff again because you are very, very resilient. People are very resilient, and your body wants to get back to that state of equilibrium. It wants to get back to normality. You've just got to give it a chance, and you've got to be kind to yourself to get it to that point. A really important thing I wish I'd been told when I was going through my recovery is that anxiety wants you to stay anxious. it wants you to stay in that state of anxiety. And that's why you do have intrusive thoughts and catastrophize and can only see the negative and only see the bad things. And you know why it wants to keep you in that state? Is because it wants something to solve. People, whether you're in anxiety or not, we are always creating problems. And the reason we're always creating problems is because we always need something to solve to feel like we are actually moving ahead in life. And so right now, anxiety is creating this problem of fear and mistrust and being scared, because the problem it wants to solve is for you to not mistrust and not be scared and not have that fear. So it's creating more and more opportunities for you to prove to yourself that you're not actually scared. The only problem is that when this is happening, you're starting to get really, really good at creating these problems. You're starting to get really, really good at seeing the world in a fearful way, because that's what anxiety wants you to do. Anxiety wants to stay alive. It just wants to be there inside you. And so it creates more and more and more problems and issues for you, so you can just stay in that anxious state, and anxiety can keep saying, yep, well, look, I'm doing my job. I'm keeping you protected. And that feeds back into the point of anxiety magnifying everything and biasing everything towards the scary and towards the negative, is because it thinks it's helping you. And of course, we all know that that isn't the case. You've got to bring it back down into equilibrium, because what about the positive side of you? What about the motivated side of you? You know, what about the brave side of you and the funny side of you and the, you know, every other positive aspect of you? What about all those sides? Don't they deserve to get some life and some love as well? Of course they do. But anxiety, unfortunately, because, you know, it's sort of born in the subconscious, which is the emotional part of the brain, that is always going to take power over you. That's all. The emotions are always going to trump logic every single time. And so if you look at all these things, you can see specifically how they're impacting you and what you need to do to counter them and ultimately reach full recovery. And so, my friends, I do hope this video has helped. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.